What's up, people? My name's Max. I'm a wrestling fan, wrestling enthusiast, a WrestleManiac, if you will. And you're tuned into another episode of 5 Things You Learned from AEW Dynamite. My God, what a show. The kind of stuff that came out of this show to talk about. We are, a week out from All Out at this point, week and a half out from All Out.
9 days.
Massive strides made towards the show, which we're gonna get to talking about on this show. Firstly, of course, I'm joined by GG and NK. How you guys doing?
No, I'm doing well, man. Doing well.
I'm in a bit of a state of confusion. Still a bit shocked, man. It's difficult. Mad.
Yeah. I think the shock is it's definitely what pro wrestling needs. Obviously, we record Wrestling's podcast on Wednesday evenings. We were there trying to think like this isn't going to be an ordinary match, but obviously no one can quite work out why they've done this, why it's coming before the pay-per-view and all of that. And listen, we're going to get into it in a second. Wrestling's channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. The link is in the description. GG on wrestling, his channel again, it's in the description. So subscribe if you haven't. If you're watching live, appreciate you guys. Hit the like button. We're gonna get into it. 5 things we learned from AEW Dynamite. There is no place else to start from apart from the shock that was CM Punk injuring his foot again. So this is the first thing that we learned, brought to us courtesy of GG. Not only did he injure his foot, of course, he lost the world title match, the unification match. And Jon Moxley, after, I don't know what it was, guys. I haven't looked at the timings. It surely probably wasn't more than 5 minutes, was it?
3 minutes, I think it was.
3 minutes, 8 seconds or some shit?
3 minutes.
So, yeah. Under 4 minutes, Jon Moxley has cleared out the world champion. He solidified his interimness and become the undisputed AEW world champion. GG, we'll let you lead on this one. This was your learn. You said that you're in a state of confusion. Before we even get into what happened in this episode, obviously from last week, we never done an episode last week. So from last week, when they said they were moving this forward from the pay-per-view till this week, talk us from then what has been going through your mind until the point where, Jon Moxley beat him in 4 minutes.
Initially, I mean, you saw the graphic pop up last week and I was just like, what? Like, I was blown away. I could not believe they were giving this away next week. It certainly added to kind of the chaos that we saw last week, where it was like, look, we got to settle this now. These guys, like, they came out twice to have a little pull apart, which was great. You know, really like gave me Attitude Era vibes where, you know, it's unpredictable. These lot are just coming back out to carry on the scrap, and there's a through thread through the episode. But then I kind of, in the back of my mind, I'd somewhat bought into the reports and the dirt sheet saying there's issues backstage, Punk's ruffling feathers, and then I was like, what is Tony just going, no, I'm taking this belt off you, I can't deal with you anymore? Is that what's happening? I instantly started thinking, is MJF going to appear and ruin the day? Is this what this is about? Like, why? You know, I trust in Tony Khan's booking. I didn't once think that it was a kind of reaction to what's happening over there. I knew it was, there's a plan in place. There's something, you know, you're not just going to give away this massive match, you know, a week or two before the pay-per-view when it was supposed to happen. You're not going to do that. There was always a reason for this. And I still don't know what the reason is. I've still got probably even more questions coming out of it than I did going in. Crazy to see it happen. Punk obviously re-injured his foot. Even that, I'm so torn. You know, is there part of me, I don't know why, I have this thing in the back of my mind that he faked I know in wrestling he faked the re-injury, but I almost feel like there's something not right, that maybe he's faked it to get to another match, or he threw the fight intentionally with Moxley. Just the way he looked back at him, it was very strange. And I want to point out Punk was in his long trunks as well, which I think was a telltale sign that something wasn't right. Like, he wasn't coming out to be big match Punk, if you will. You know, he had the long boys on, which we haven't really seen much of, and he's kind of taken the mick out of him himself. So from the entrance, I was a bit like, that's an interesting choice. There's something to that. He like nothing real crazy to talk about in terms of the match itself, apart from obviously Punk kicking Moxley in the head, putting the weight on his injured foot and going down, clutching it instantly. I loved him getting up with the limping cell, and then Mox just taking him out, taking advantage of it. Two, elbows to the face. Punk was still fighting him off as well, trying to. Two Death Riders, 1, 2, 3. Mox is the undisputed AEW World Champion. And yeah, CM Punk with a look back that seemed to just, I don't know, there was so much to him looking back that I'm sure will all become clear within the next kind of 2 weeks. I just want to comment as well, it was Gunston _ I on Twitter, first mention I saw of it. So he twisted his injured foot, which caused him to go down. Are you telling me Punk literally lost due to a heel turn? Which I think is great. If that's his intention as well, that's brilliant. Just another little detail. I'm still torn on whether he's turning heel or not. Very torn. I have no idea. But the placement of this, I was surprised at it being in the middle of the show. That just was like, what is going on? Why would they do that? What is going to happen? And just raised excitement levels. So much so that I don't even know if I was present for the second half of the show, because it was just the whole show in the back of my mind. I was like, what are they doing? Like, what are they doing with Punk and Moxley? Yeah, and what's going to happen next? Like, because I'm very thoughtful when it comes to this kind of stuff. So it was just, I would be watching, Ospreay and that flying around. Oh, that was cool. But yeah, but what are they doing with Mox and Punk? Like, what's happening here? But yeah, just crazy television, shocking. And I just love the buzz it's creating, because no one's got the answers. Everyone thinks they've got the answers, and everyone's got theories and, thoughts on what is possibly going to happen, but nobody really knows. And the world of wrestling is just in disarray at the moment, just trying to clamber and figure out the pieces to this puzzle and figure out what happens next.
No one's got the answers. Everyone's got the theories. NK, what's your theory? What was going through your mind when this happened?
I had no idea. Like, if you told me like CM Punk was gonna get squashed on Dynamite, I was like, what? Like, that was like when he came up with the track with the tights, I was like, okay, he might be losing, but we'll see. As soon as like Jon Moxley did the elbow spot, I said, no, this is bad. Because that's usually like the beginning of the end.
The precursor.
And then he hit the Death Rider and he started taunting. And I was like, oh, is Punk going to roll him up?
Play it with his food. Play it with his food, bro.
Then he hit it again. And I was like, there's no way. And the thing is, I was never like, I saw online people split on it. I loved it. I personally loved the finish, because we talk about like AEW being predictable at times, and often it's predictable because we know what's going on, but like we love a bit of unpredictability in wrestling. And it's not like CM Punk lost to any jabroni and he scrub. Like, Moxley's been on the run arguably of his career, and it's like, if anyone was going to do that to Punk in AEW, it's Moxley. And obviously they gave him, the built-in excuse of the foot, and then even just the look back he gave to Moxley. Like, they're gonna rematch it, and I don't mind. I'm even fine, even if there's no stipulation and it's just a fair, like, straightforward rematch. I'm okay with it, with the provision that Punk turns heel, and I feel like that's where they're going, because even the crowd, I was sure. The crowd were like majority behind Moxley. Like, they weren't really giving Punk the time of day.
It's because his promo last week, though, wasn't it? That promo was a heel promo. And the thing is, he's had to eat his words. I'm the best in the world in this ring. And he's had to eat his words horribly, because he got finished in 3 minutes. Like, fair play to Punk. Like, even I know he's got the excuse of the leg, but fair play for him to go, yeah, let's run that. Like, I will lose and I'll have the reason to do it. And I love the sports focus of it. Like, this injury, like, you know, football players, they return and they're never 100%. And we're seeing it with Kenny as well. Like, in wrestling, far too many times, someone comes back and it's like they're 100%. They've gone for the title straight away, and they're, you know. But this is like they always kind of play to it. You know, CM Punk, is he 100%? Is he, you know? And for him to re-injure it, like, just adds to all that mystique.
Yeah, I like the fact you brought up Kenny as well, because like unintentionally, like even the way Kenny was selling last week, unintentionally they've created like this thing of like, nah, just because you come back from a serious injury doesn't mean you're going to be 100%. We saw it last week with Kenny, and it kind of feeds into this week of Punk, where it kind of sells the believability of it, because like, okay, like we saw this happen not only with Punk but with other top guys on the roster. And yeah, my thing is obviously next week is the like go home show. I wonder how Punk's going to sneak his way back into the title, because Jon Moxley has every right to tell him, no, I beat you in 3 minutes. What reason do I have to give you a title shot? But like they're gonna justify it in some sort of way. But yeah, man, this is what makes Dynamite must-see television. Like, if you missed this, or if you like went on Twitter and saw a spoiler, I feel sorry for you.
Yeah,
like, you have to experience this.
Yep, 100.
like live or without any spoilers. You have to watch this with no preconceived notions going into it, because this is a moment, man. This is probably like the best TV moment I've seen this year. Just singular moment on television. I don't know, man. This is crazy.
Can we touch on the promo as well? Like, because that was just like Moxley's promo. Like, that was so good. Like, for him to just be like, oh, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
Like, and for him to be so earnest with it and be like, I'm the man. Like, why does everyone doubt me? I'm Jon Moxley. Like, this is what happens. And it's like, why did we doubt you, bruv? Like, we had no reason to doubt you. You are the man. You are the AEW champion.
I didn't.
Yeah, you never do.
I was preaching to everyone that there is, like, just, you know, from a mental point of view, like we've all said, the way he's been booked this year, run of his life, 100%, not of just AEW or as a world champion, run of his life. There is no way. It was unfathomable for me to think, unless it was in Chicago, which I was coming around to the idea of, that he should lose to Punk. Like, I was even more excited, flipping, dancing and waking up my house at like 5 a.m. in the morning when this happened, because it happened so quickly. Because yes, you're coming up against the world champion and you've just come back from injury. So like you said, it plays into the realism 100%. Like you said, Dynamite is 100% must watch every week, because anything can happen. Like, literally, as we saw, Moxley just savaging him so quickly is I think what needed to happen, and it's what's going to make the heel turn even sweeter. What's his face? Excalibur was saying that, you know, oh, this is meant to be the summer of Punk. This was meant to be his big return and continue the summer of Punk, but it's the summer of Moxley, which, again, this is, I think, all things that's going to irate CM Punk. Like, that turn round that he done when he was being carried out, it's almost like this fanfare, this ovation was supposed to be mine. And now everyone is cheering for everyone but me. Like,
and he's turning back on that almost. Do you know what I mean? He's turning his back on the fanfare and looking back
as
at
he's
it, like,
walking away.
That's not me anymore, kind of thing. Like, that was me when I was holding the belt, but that's not me now. So I'm gonna have to be. And do you know what I'm concerned about though is, did they bring this match forward purely to solidify Moxley's reign? Here you go, well done, 2-time champ. Thank you. Now we're gonna All Out is pay-per-view. Yeah, and All Out is gonna be what a lot of people speculated this week was going to be. That's I don't know if I'm concerned, but I mean, I think it'll be good either way. But that's, I think,
maybe. But like NK said, as long as there is some nefarious means where CM Punk overcomes Moxley, then I don't mind. I don't mind Moxley, losing because CM Punk has cheated. That helps his heel turn. But yeah, right now, the way I see it, CM Punk is totally irate. He has none of the stuff he expected to have. The fans behind him, they're all cheering for the other guy, and I'm just happy that this has played out in a very logical way. Like you, Gigi, I don't believe that this is kind of hot shot and they're looking at necessarily what WWE's doing and they've made this decision. This is a very weird decision. I think, like we're saying, that it's still not obvious and clear what's happening next week and then into the pay-per-view. But I don't mind it because at least week to week, it's making sense, although we can't necessarily see the bigger picture right now. Earl says, big up Earl, Dynamite is the best weekly pro wrestling show I have seen. It is. It really is. You should,
apart from maybe 99 Raw, 98, 99 Raw. Like
that had
but even that, I mean, you rewatch it, there's probably no logic or rhyme or reason to anything, but this shit makes sense.
This was just very, very well done. And like I said, if Moxley now falls on his sword and loses to Punk, like, I'm cool with it. But I just couldn't understand Moxley losing first time round to Punk. I wasn't having it. And I'm happy.
And he's the first, obviously they unify the titles and it's just legitimized his reign because all this time Moxley has been saying, bruv, bun the interim thing, I'm champ. I'm champion. And now it just makes you look at all the title defenses in hindsight and it's like, this guy's actually the champ. Like, this guy
and the visual of him dashing that interim belt, like he held both of them up and then he went
out with one.
You know what, actually, yeah, man, I never wanted this interim stuff anyway, like one champ.
And even to add more fuel to the fire with CM Punk, he never had a title defense.
Yeah,
he's lost the title without even having one successful title defense. So he's officially the worst AEW champion of all time right now. Until, of course, he probably gets that title back and then, they rewrite how it should have went.
I think I want to hear last week's promo again now. That, tell me when I'm telling a lie. I wonder if now we know what we know. I mean, the little we do know from what happened this week, how maybe that reflected in last week's promo, maybe.
I can't wait for next week's promo. The desperate, we're going to see CM Punk probably begging, being desperate, probably being like, I need this, I need the title, I need to beat you. So,
but you said it right though. You're so right, NK. How does we're all kind of under the assumption they are going to have a rematch, but I mean, they can lean on I was injured, man. It wasn't a fair fight. I don't think they would insult us with something so simple. So how do we get there? It's a very good question. Well, how does CM Punk get in there again?
I guess the weakness, so to speak, of Moxley is that he loves a fight. So it won't be hard to instigate a fight with Moxley.
Yeah. But that's what I mean.
He'll be like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, but I don't think it's that straightforward. I don't think he can just ask for a match. I think he's got to do something nasty.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't necessarily ask for it. He might, but his ego or something like that. And Moxley wants to have another.
I see violence, man. I honestly see violence.
CM Punk's gonna call him a coward. CM Punk's good. It's just one thing we know about CM Punk. He's good at manipulating people. He's good with his words. He's going to say something that bruises Moxley's ego. I'm just going to be like, do you know what? I want to bang you up again. No, ban this. All out, I'm going to embarrass you in front of your people, in front of your hometown. I'm going to do that to you again. And then...
But ultimately, all out is a trap.
Yeah.
So I guess it sounds like pretty much nailed on that it's CM Punk versus Moxley at All Out. No chance that there is someone else, maybe a proxy for Punk, maybe the Casino Royale winner has a match with Moxley at the pay-per-view.
The only way I can see that happening is if MJF, and if they do Casino Royale isn't Money in the Bank though. It's not like you can just come in at the end. Because I was thinking, if MJF enters the Casino Battle Royale and then cashes in at the end, but it's not Money in the Bank. Like
It's not money in the bank, but you have a title shot. So
Yeah.
I guess it's just for you to go backstage and say, "Can I invoke it now?"
Yeah.
Like,
Wouldn't be a bad
Yeah.
way of getting Punk back in if they really wanted to do that. But then I think you're wasting that win, that spot where you could obviously propel someone into the title picture going forward.
which they never do, because on history says they never do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
But I
it
wouldn't
would be a
mind
good
that
way,
as
like
a
you're saying, to get Punk there. If Punk won it and then Punk said, "I want this match now" in Chicago,
well,
he
no,
has
they
2 matches in Chicago, beats
Yeah.
Moxley in the main event. Yeah.
Well, we go in knowing that whoever wins that match will main event. We go in knowing that, and Punk. I
doesn't that
wouldn't
kind of
mind
kill
that.
the tension of the Casino Battle Royal slightly?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's
because you'll
like,
know.
because you'll know.
I think you'll know that Punk's gonna win it.
Yeah. Because the thing is, if you put Casino, because Casino Battle Royals, is usually full of like mid carders and red. The moment you see, not even the moment you see somebody who's like a main event player in that match, if let's say they don't announce the main event for All Out until maybe the night, until after Casino Battle Royal, then it's like, Casino Ladder match. Then it's like, okay, as soon as I see a prominent name, it's them. So,
But you're right. But like I'm saying, what difference does it make? Because the mid carder that's always won it has just always gone on to have a good match with the champion and never won the championship. So I see what you mean 100%. I just don't really think it matters. Like if Punk then just wins it, then yeah, we know we're going to get Punk versus thing. I think it's just more of sending out Punk twice on a night in Chicago. It may be beneficial some way, somehow.
Even if you wanted to go that way, it doesn't have to be announced for the match. You could just bowl out Brock Lesnar style and just take the chip or whatever. And if you want to start, I don't know. I don't see it happening, but I wouldn't be against it. But we don't know anything at this point.
I just think it's unlikely that they're gonna do a pay-per-view with no announced main event.
Same.
Until the night. I feel like, I don't know. Because CM Punk, like, obviously people know like that he's gonna be on the pay-per-view, but not to advertise him on the pay-per-view is risky business.
It's risky business, I guess, in terms of pay-per-view buys, but ultimately it's a sold-out show, isn't it?
Yeah, no. In terms of people in the arena, it's Phantom's pay-per-view. People at home in it, pay-per-view.
Okay, yeah.
But people buy it last minute usually anyway. So if even if they announce it next week, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, times I've bought it, I would buy it on the day, innit? Like, oh, gee, I forgot to buy this pay-per-view. The only thing though with oh, don't worry, I forgot what I was gonna say. Damn.
No worries. But yeah, a very, very, very interesting world title match. As you can see, a lot to talk about.
Sorry, that's what I was going to say. Just quickly, I think just on your point, Mex, about or what you said about will we go in not without a main event. I like that before we've kind of used this as criticism towards AEW, where we're not clear on a match, for the main event or for a pay-per-view. But I like now it's almost like I like that I'm in the dark about it. Although it's somewhat guaranteed that will be, but I'm kind of it's made me more excited to see how and why.
But you know the difference? Like this has been purposefully done.
Yeah, it's direction.
We're supposed to now think, oh, now what's happening at the pay-per-view, as opposed to before it's just like, from
we know they not
it's not out there. But yeah, very interesting stuff with these lot involved. Again, we're probably gonna see some stuff next week as to what's gonna happen at the pay-per-view. So we'll keep our eyes peeled on that one. Right, next up, second thing we've learned on this show, and this is from NK. Motor City Machine Guns. They're gonna be at All Out. They're teaming with Jay Lethal to take on my head's gone blank. Who they fight again?
Wardlow and FTR.
Wardlow FTR. Great for the Motor City Machine Guns. They got a big pop when they played the little vignette in the stadium. NK, what's your thoughts of these men showing up on Dynamite or All Out, shall I say?
Well, I'm mostly happy because it's replacing a match. They're replacing Satnam Singh and Sanjay Dutt. I don't think no, you can't put that as a pay-per-view match. You can't do that. You can't have a useless trios match at the pay-per-view with FTR and Wardlow team, these men should be doing something better. So I'm happy that Motor City Machine Guns are there, and I think the match is overall be a better match. However, I'm thinking, I'm like, I'd rather this be just a tag match between FTR and Motor City Machine Guns. Like,
that's one thing. Yeah,
I don't need Jay Lethal and Wardlow as TNT champion. Like I'm deep in the TNT championship hasn't been defended on the pay-per-view in a very long time. I think since probably All Out last year.
Can't be.
Yeah, it would be. I'm sure.
What about Revolution?
No,
Sammy didn't.
No,
there was one point. There was
I think since All Out last year, it has not been defended on the pay-per-view.
There's definitely one or two. Sammy
So,
was champ at one point, wasn't he? Because he was just in a multi-man match.
So All Out last year was Miro versus Eddie Kingston. Sammy won it off Eddie Kingston. Miro.
Yeah.
I don't think he defended it at Full Gear. No, he didn't defend that Full Gear because they had that Jericho Appreciation Society versus American Top Team at a Full Gear. At Revolution, it was Sammy, Sting, and Darby versus Andrade and the HFO. At Double or Nothing, what was Sammy doing? Who was champion at Double? Was it Scorpio or Sammy? Either way, at Double or Nothing, the title wasn't defended, and at Forbidden Door, the title wasn't defended. So it's literally since a year since the championship has been defended on the pay-per-view.
That's not good.
Do you think? Just put my rose-tinted glasses. Do you just pretend they're rose-tinted? Do you think that
open your eyes, bro?
It's a TNT title and it's for the TNT TV, and that's where, like, I'm already gonna convince myself out of it because it's not being defended constantly on TV as well. But do you think maybe that's a way they can kind of bypass that?
But if you wanted to kind of go that way, though, it's TNT is actually only Rampage. It's not even Dynamite. That's TBS. True. So, and he hasn't been there. So, yeah, I don't think they're trying to do that. I just think the belt has no heat right now.
Lost its value. And also, if you look at it, previously to like the championships had without being a pay-per-view, it was on every other pay-per-view. Even Darby won it off Cody. Darby won it off Cody true. On a pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? The Darby's big moment happened on pay-per-view. So it's like, yeah, the thing is, I don't get why, especially during the Sammy Guevara era, because I remember Andrade, Sammy,
they threw away the triple
Darby
threat, didn't they?
Had a triple threat on the Rampage before the pay-per-view. Yep. In my head, I was baffled. I was thinking, why isn't this on pay-per-view?
Yeah.
Like, why wasn't that match on pay? And I know we got the match with Sting, but it's like, it doesn't make sense. And then now it's like you're throwing Wardlow hasn't had a defense since Jay Lethal, which was on Rampage, which you don't care about. And then now you're throwing him in with FTR, who they were in the Pinnacle together, but since they've become faces, they've had no interaction with each other. You're throwing them into a feud with Jay Lethal and Satnam Singh, which wasn't even his own feud. He inherited the beef from Orange Cassidy
from best friends, and then he just left him to it.
But do you know what? At this point, I'm honestly more annoyed with them putting Motor City Machine Guns into it. I would actually rather them have just stuck to the guns and done the 6-man, because now I feel like, but yeah, they're trying to obviously maybe like make it better. But for me, I feel like, well, you've done all that on TV, you've made all that effort,
for what?
And you've built this story for it to just be taken away. Like, and now we're not going to get the visual of Wardlow, Powerbomb, and Satnam, which was the only real, shimmer of hope in this match.
I remember you mentioned that before, Gigi. I personally don't care about no Powerbomb to Satnam Singh. I
would rather 20 other different things, but we're in it already. Do you know what I mean? You've already started this feud. At least let us have the blow off for it. Now you're just throwing Motor City Machine Guns in for a dream match, like teasing everyone for this dream match we would rather have. So now it makes even less sense that it's a 6-man. Why are we not just getting a tag match and a singles match, which we should have had the whole damn time? It's just ridiculous.
Listen, I hear what you're saying and you're right, but the storyline is already meaty. And if the storyline is meaty, I'm taking the match or bang booking over. Meaty storyline plus meaty match. Give me meaty storyline plus good
The
match.
match will bang. yeah.
This is a pay-per-view. Like, no, don't wrong. It's poor. I agree with you. All of it is poor. But at least I'm like, okay, cool. I can tune into the pay-per-view and not like, I don't know, order food during this match because the match was looking poor. Nobody's telling me that Satnam Singh and Sanjay Dutt no.
Now you're going to actually tune in for the match. So
I'm actually going to tune in for the match. And regardless of the feud, if they were to listen after All Out, pick up and drop this feud, I'm not complaining. I complain from a consistency perspective, but from an overall I haven't enjoyed this feud. This feud means nothing to me. It adds nothing to the product. It can go away. Like Wardlow should be doing bigger and better things. And this is my speculation. This is just fan theory. I think this is good. I don't think they should do it yet. Notice how FTR and Wardlow have obviously combined. I'm telling you, if CM Punk turns heel, he's gonna have a faction.
New Pinnacle.
And I'm saying, add them two, man. You know, the Bret Hart tribute act or whatever. Add them, man, as a faction. It will make sense later on. But the only problem I have is that with FTR turning heel, I can see him turning heel. It's fine. Wardlow, I don't see him as a heel right now.
Yeah.
Because you've just did this whole tournament with MJF to, I don't know. Wardlow's a mess. That TNT title was I don't understand it because there's very easy remedies for the TNT title. Very easy remedies. But I don't know, man. It's a shame.
And now with the All Atlantic title, is that now gonna be more prestigious? Is that slipping in as the mid card belt? And you know, because it's looking like we might get Pac Ospreay for the title at All Out. So to me, that again tells me that seems more important than the TNT belt then. And from what we've been conditioned to know, I mean, it hasn't been, but you know, we've had it forced in our faces for feuds we don't like.
Remember when they brought this belt out? Yeah, I was saying from the jump, like seeing is believing and all that, and they put it on Pac, and Pac's like out of sight, out of mind. We don't even know the belt exists. And in recent weeks, that's how we're gonna now feel with the TNT Championship because it's out of sight, out of mind. You can't wonder is the All Atlantic. Pac is carrying the All Atlantic. We already know Pac's credibility as a wrestler. You can now see exactly who you're mentioning, you know, the kind of guys he could possibly mix it up with. Like right now, if that's not their intention or what, I don't know, the All Atlantic title is above the TNT Championship.
Do you know, it's not even out of sight, out of mind. We've seen the All Atlantic defenses, more defenses on Dynamite than we've seen in the TNT. Even
just
though it's been like
packages.
Highlights. Even though it's been the highlights. We've seen more of the All Atlantic title being defended on TV because we saw it on TV. It was a highlight. Then the TNT. That's a travesty. Pac doesn't even live in the country.
Yeah, you're right.
Jonesy says, I don't think we're getting Pac versus Ospreay at the pay-per-view. We're getting Pac versus Kip Sabian.
I can't wait to talk about that, by the way.
And he says Ospreay versus Omega is a future feud either for AEW or Japan. Yeah, I think in the first instance we get it in Japan, and then when they want to run it back, we got some more heat and we have some type of gimmick match in AEW, which I think would be good. Just on my thoughts on the Motor City Machine Gun Saga, happy to see them. One of the best tag teams in the world. They're going to put on an excellent match with FTR, another one of the best tag team matches in the world. But this is the problem for me. A lot of these people, like we're saying, is above this feud. What is the TNT champion doing in this match? I know he has been booked well, but this isn't where he should be. By right, he shouldn't be here. FTR, best tag team right now. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah,
they shouldn't be involved in this. Motor City Machine Gun shouldn't be being brought into AEW to just do some mid-card filler feud. Although, yes, the match will bang. This isn't where they should be.
This easily could have been for the ROH title. This easily could have been for the ROH title. Like, just
they could have done.
They didn't even need to be involved. They didn't need to be involved in the Jay Lethal stuff. You could have. I would have rather they just done. Wardlow versus Satnam. Like, I know it's not going to be a great match, but it's the visual, the spectacle of it. Two big men, and just do a short 5-6 minute match between those two. Maybe not even that long. And all you need to do is have Motor City Machine Guns call out FTR just like Briscoes did. That's all you needed to do, and you could have done like. I don't understand where they think they were heading with all this Jay Lethal nonsense. Like, just get rid of it.
This is a mistake, and on top of this, it's the fact I think it's another tag match. Like, we're crowning trios champions at this pay-per-view. Why are we having a pointless trios match as well on this pay-per-view? The tag team titles, which we'll talk about in a bit, they Acclaimed kind of deserve that. There's this spot. I'm not going to take that away from them, but they literally threw that together on this show. You see what I mean? Like, there's no heat on that match. So this is just this could be bloody Rampage main event or something. I just don't think this match needs to be on this show at all.
The only benefit I see from them doing another 6-man is just to show, right, you've had this tournament, but don't forget, there's other 3-man teams out there. But then you've totally disregarded that because Jay Lethal and Motor City Machine Guns aren't going to be a trio.
Exactly.
Like, you could have used Satnam, Sanjay and Thingy as fodder for that division. Whoever, they could have had the first match just for the champs to have a win or whatever. But you've disregarded that as well, so it's just baffling.
Yeah, this it's very good with Motor City Machine Guns, and then it's just why are they involved in this. So yeah, we'll move on. Again, appreciate everyone watching. Hit the like button if you haven't already, please. We're getting on to the third thing that we learned from AEW Dynamite. Again, big talking point from NK, the Elite versus United Empire next week. It is confirmed. United Empire won their trios match against Death Triangle. There was some kind of funny memes in there. Kip Sabian, we did see get involved up against Pac. But the dream match and the dream confrontation that we've been waiting for is happening. I guess we got a bite-sized look at it at the end of Dynamite with Kenny Omega and the Bucks coming out and, kind of taunting United Empire. And for those that saw Kenny Omega's promo that he cut after Dynamite, I wish that was on the show. But United Empire versus the Elite. NK, what are we saying?
Before we even get to Omega, I'm going to address the match. The match itself between Death Triangle and United Empire. Listen, if you're not a fan of, if you saw the names involved in the card, if you're not a fan of PWG style wrestling, if you're not a fan of acrobatics, dynamic, like whatever high, fast-paced wrestling, then it won't be for you. But for the people who like that type of stuff, this was insane. This was absolutely insane. Like Ospreay, like even JR said it on commentary. Ospreay said, sign this kid. JR was like, sign this kid now. Sign him now. Everyone just showed out. Obviously the match was like built to make the two people the match was built on was Ospreay and Pac. Yeah. And they made, obviously we know who Pac is. Like Pac is amazing. But like every time Ospreay's been on AEW, he's made himself look great, but they've given a spotlight to him because they gave these man time. Gave him I think 25 minutes, something like that. They didn't rush. Like they gave him, in fact, even too much time because Kenny didn't even get to cut his promo. But regardless, obviously, United Empire pick up the win. We saw a little cameo from Kip Sabian, so probably going to see Kip Sabian versus Pac at some point. Fine. Then obviously I knew. Like when Ospreay won, he did the Kenny Omega gun fingers to the camera. I was gassed. But then just seeing Kenny Omega come out, and then it just made it real because it just like hearing, and also if you notice throughout the match commentary, like if you go back and listen to the commentary, they pretty much told you who Ospreay was winning. The amount of times they were selling. This is what Ospreay did in New Japan. This is what Omega did in New Japan. This is what, they were literally doing comparisons between the two throughout the whole match. But you're just seeing Kenny come out and just knowing that we are getting this next week, and then just seeing like, the back and forths Ospreay's had with Kenny, even hearing what Ospreay said about Kenny on the pod, I'm like, right, so how long did these men know they were gonna wrestle each other? Like, because they've been building. I don't think they're building towards a singles match, but even this, and I was talking to Big Up Knowledge, I was talking to Knowledge about this. It's mad to see how like inter-promotional storytelling is happening. Because if you watch the G1 last week, Ospreay was throwing shots at Kenny in the G1 final. If you go to Rev Pro, he was signaling Kenny. All of that, like literally week to week to week, just building to him facing Kenny next week. Like it's a crazy wrestling world we live in where man can really say, I'm seeing the IWGP United States champion on a program that's not his. Twice into like, it's mad. But I was flabbergasted. And I don't know how to prepare for this. I don't know how to prepare for this. Like, I'm not ready.
Breathe,
I'm not ready for this.
Breathe.
I'm not ready.
I'm not sure how much of a coming together from the two of them we'll get. I'm all right if they don't touch. If it's Ospreay doing, they're both in the ring, they take in the crowd adulation, and Ospreay does the heel thing and tags out, and Ospreay ducks him. Even if they have a little coming together, like I'm okay to wait for this. I'm not sure. Yeah, like I said, I'm not sure how much we're going to get out of them two next week. I don't even know if I want more than what I've just said. If I want a full blown, 5 minutes at least of them two going back and forth at each other. I don't know what I want. In that respect, I guess I'm not ready either. But
yeah, I just want like a sequence. Just give me like just a nugget, a bite, a little sequence. So I could just, you don't have to. Yeah, just give me something I can hold on to.
I want to see him get the better of Kenny though, just to further this. Kenny's hurt. He's not 100%, and that because they're really pushing that agenda, and the fact that Ospreay's obviously just been through the G1, which is very grueling, and not to mention all of his other commitments. He's here, there, everywhere. I worry that Ospreay's taking way too much heat in these matches. Like, he seems to be on the receiving end of a lot of the beatdowns during the match. Like, I'm worried that I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me, just from what I see of Ospreay in New Japan, and I know he can lose. He lost to bloody what's his name, Finley, the other time during the G1. So he's not, immortal. He can be beat, but to me, he's just been in the G1 final with Okada. So I worry that during the matches he's not looked as strong. But then it depends if they're just leaning on the G1 stuff as well. But yeah, I want to see him get the best of Kenny, because I want this to build where we see Kenny eventually. There's going to be a time where he comes out, he takes off his armor, he takes off this silly top, and it's like, oh, Kenny's back now, and that's where we're heading. And if we can maybe wait for that visual to a real big match like an Ospreay, then yeah, perfect.
Yeah. This is I don't know. Like, even like predictions, guys. Who do you think? You think the Bucks and Kenny go through?
Yeah. I think the Elite go over, but I feel like the Elite are gonna get the pin on Carl Fletcher and
Davis.
Yeah. I feel like in the match, the story in the match will be that Ospreay, if this was a singles match, Ospreay would have won. But because, Bucks and the Elite, I feel like because they're still going to sell this Kenny's injured storyline up until the pay-per-view, I think. So I don't think that we're going to, I feel like we're going to be intentionally, not disappointed, but, we're going to see Ospreay, get the better of Kenny throughout the match. But the Elite will go through. Because, I don't see United Empire get into the final. If they do, then big ups to them. But I don't see United ever getting to the final. But there'll be a lot of storytelling in this match. It'll be crazy spots. But I think when it comes to Ospreay and Omega, when they have their little 10-second segments, there'll be a lot of tension and build up, and you know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm here for.
Can we touch on this Kip nonsense? Because I am genuinely just annoyed with it all.
Go for it.
You've built this spot up, this big reveal up. How long has he been in this box, bruv? Like, it's got to be best part of a year, even longer.
Yeah, a year.
The All Atlantic title didn't even exist back then. Like, what
Yeah.
were you just waiting, biding your time for the right person, or like it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I obviously fantasy booked MJF being under this box, you know, just as a big swerve. Like, oh, it's got to be Kip Sabian. Everyone thinks it's Kip Sabian, and it's MJF. And I get that takes that moment away from Kip, but you've told us it's Kip. We know it's Kip. So I just don't know. There was nowhere to go with it. There was never a kind of an end in sight other than him just eventually attacking someone. So why Pac? Was it premeditated all this time, or when did he sit there wearing this box and think, oh, do you know what? I've had enough of being under this box. Like, next week I'm gonna finally do this. Like, it just makes no sense to me, and I just think it was just pointless. Like, I'm not any more invested in Kip Sabian because of it.
I'm glad you said it. Like, I personally think this is an example of maybe the likes of Tony Khan. This is obviously what Kip Sabian pitched, and Tony said, "Cool, if you think it's gonna work, then do it." Like,
do you mind if I just stand in the crowd with a box on my head? Yeah, if you want. Like,
yeah, like if you want, and yeah, if and maybe Kip's now, I don't know, changed direction of what he wanted to do, and he's pitched and he's like, well, all right, sort of thing. And yeah, it's just
it would have just been such a good device for a debut or a shock return, like, because they've all but told us it's Kip, and to swerve us on that, and it didn't have to be MJF, it could have been anyone, like someone we're expecting to turn up, and it, you know, they just turn and then they're just in the box, and then for him to not even be under the box when the final big reveal, he wasn't even under it. It was a big, like, come on, man. Has it been this random dude just tied up under this box? I don't.
I don't know. I liked the reveal. Like, I'm not a fan of I haven't cared about the box stuff like all year round. I haven't given a damn about it. But like in isolation to the match, I kind of liked it because like, okay, this is probably like the biggest feud Kip's probably gonna have in the history of his AEW. Like,
he's only just come back and he's already saying, "This is it for you, bro."
No, because this is the biggest feud Kip probably.
This is WrestleMania.
Yeah, and it's like, cool, you made
the boyhood dream has come true.
Nah, of course, like, yeah, Kip revealing himself is gonna get lost in the news of Moxley and Ospreay and all of this. But it's like, cool, you brought Baron back on the main event spot. You've clearly given him something to do going forward. I don't see him winning the All Atlantic title, and if he does, then boy, what a statement of intent that is. And
the box,
I feel like the All Atlantic, boy, I wouldn't be happy about that, but we'll see. But I just thought it gives Kip something to do. And
he had something to do, bruv. He's under a box. He's watching.
But he has to reveal himself eventually, and it's like even before that with Kip, like Kip was doing much ado about nothing. Like before that, he was doing game or nonsense with Miro. Like it was, like it's something for Kip to do. I'm grasping at straws, but I'm not mad at it. I was fine with it. I was like, okay, like I'm willing to see and give this the time of day. I'm willing to give this the time of day.
You're more generous than I am. I just didn't care. Like, I have no opinion on the reveal or anything because I just didn't care. Like, it's what it is. It happened during the show. It cost them their win ultimately. I think that's maybe one thing I was surprised about, that United Empire did go on to win, and we are having this. Yeah, I'm happy about the decision. I'm just surprised because I thought, they're just gonna tease us with it and then they're gonna lose. And
we've seen elite Lucha Bros so many times.
Many times. Yeah.
I love it. Don't get me wrong, and I will watch it every week. But let's leave it for a year or so now before we see that again.
Yeah, you're right. So big match, semi-final, or as they're calling it, the Dynamite final to look forward to.
I don't get that. Why are they doing that?
Because the other rubby side of the brackets is all on Rampage, so that's why they're highlighting this is like the Dynamite final and then the Rampage final.
It sounds silly, but I get it. It makes it. It does kind of make it sound more important.
They're making it sound like it's two different brands ultimately. Like this is like, it feels like SmackDown and Raw sort of thing, but they don't have a brand split. So they shouldn't necessarily split it by name, but whatever in it.
And also, I don't get why they're saying next week's the Dynamite final when the finals are all out.
Yeah, this is
It makes it sound important, don't it? The Dynamite final. Like I get.
So what, the
It
final
doesn't
before
sound.
the final?
Yeah,
That's
man.
a,
Two
it's
finals.
called a
It's a
semi-final, bro.
semi-final. Exactly, it's a
Like, even
semi.
when
No,
they
it's
called
not.
this match,
It's called
they
the
called this
Dynamite
match
final,
a
actually.
semi-final. I'm like, they called this match a semi-final. I'm like,
Yeah.
how is this a semi-final? Well, this is like one of the opening matches of the tournament in terms of the bracket. This is Death Triangle and United Empire's first match in the tournament. How are we at a semi-final already?
Don't mind them. Don't mind them.
Anyway, it's an improvement over the Owen. I can say this
Oh,
tournament
100%.
over
1,000,000%.
I can say, even if the right side is a bit crabby, listen, just allow this left side. TK, take notes. This is what you should do tournaments going forward.
Yeah.
Spice
100%.
it up.
I think that the only other thing is quite telling if they're kind of splitting it with Dynamite and Rampage and how, who was on the right side and these are the guys that are on Rampage. It doesn't really.
The big matches
are
are getting on Dynamite, then you're getting Trustbusters.
Exactly. So
best friends. Rubbish.
It don't look good for how you're kind of.
But then we are
Rampage.
We are possibly going to get Hangman filling in that third spot, so it like builds the stock a little bit on that side.
I'm going to keep my mouth closed. I read Rampage spoilers. I'm not going to say anything, but I keep my mouth closed. That's it.
Okay. Let's move on. The fourth thing we have learnt from AEW Dynamite this past week, there is going to be an interim women's champion crowned at All Out. Thunder Rosa, she came out backstage, that is. I perceived these were crocodile tears and she was forcing out tears that she is ultimately injured, can't compete at All Out. And she's going to go away and heal up or whatever the case is. And the 4 women that will going to be contested. So yeah, not only is it, a match still going to happen, it's a 4-way. Toni Storm, Jamie Hayter, Britt Baker, and Hikaru Shida are going to go one up against each other for this title. Gigi, this was what you brought to the table, so we'll go with you. What's your thoughts on Thunder Rosa stepping away kind of out of nowhere? What's your thoughts on the 4 women selected? And who do you think's leaving with the title?
For starters, I feel like she genuinely looked a bit shaken up, man. Like, I thought she genuinely looked a bit rattled, and that's why I had this doubt in my mind. Like, is she actually injured? Is there more here? There's discourse online about her not being able to make this announcement in the ring, which I do get as well. You're telling us that this world title isn't as important as someone else or a male world title. But then I do get maybe there's something to it. If she genuinely was a bit shaken up, would she have been prepared to go out in front of a live crowd and make that announcement? So I get that as well. I think it's very telling that it's a 4-way. I think that confirms what we all wanted and we discussed a couple of weeks ago. Hayter, Britt, and at the time Thunder Rosa, Toni Storm, and it seems like Shida has replaced Thunder Rosa, which again is good news. And obviously it's not been the intent, but we've all said Shida, where is she? She should be on Dynamite more. She should be on TV, and here she is, which is great that they've gone to her first. She was the first pick to fill that spot, so that's positive as well. I'm hoping that Jamie Hayter walks out of that belt and what we fantasy booked a couple of weeks ago becomes a reality, because that is the Toni Storm is not intriguing. I don't think the crowd are that behind Toni Storm. She doesn't seem. I don't think she's popped a rating necessarily either. I would rather than put it back on Britt than Toni Storm at this point, to be completely honest. Just the past couple of weeks, Britt's been doing some good promos, some good stuff. Her little Kylan King segment on Dark was good. And her, being the heel that got told to shut up, basically. But yeah, let's put the belt on Hayter. Let's get the split started, man, that we booked a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I think I'm glad to see that it was a 4-way, because I think that did confirm what it would have happened as well without this happening.
NK?
Anyone but Britt. Anybody but Britt. Anyone but Britt. But in regards to Thunder Rosa, like it's all speculation. Nobody really knows what's going on. But there's speculation about if she's not actually injured, that she has heat with Jamie and Britt, like legit backstage heat, which given the recent AEW locker room isn't surprising. I don't know, and obviously it's unfortunate that Thunder Rosa isn't on the pay-per-view because I feel like a champion should be on the pay-per-view. I understand why they did interim, because if they'd stripped Thunder Rosa off the title, people would have been like, but wait, you did this for CM Punk, we don't do it for Thunder Rosa. But I don't want this to become a regular occurrence. And obviously, Tony Khan don't plan injuries. The interim thing, now that the CM Punk thing is kind of concluded in terms of like the titles, I'm happy with that. I'm happy that it created a lot of injury. I'm happy with that. But with Thunder Rosa, it's like, because there's not that investment in the women's division due to booking, it's like, I'm not gonna care for a title versus title match. I'll be so real. I don't care who it is. If the visual of Thunder Rosa and insert woman here holding up the title together is not gonna pop me. It's gonna be like, okay, cool.
But then if Jamie Hayter is that person, there's the history of Britt Baker losing to Thunder Rosa, but Jamie Hayter could then overcome her, so that adds to that whole thing. So I feel like there's a bit more intrigue depending on who it is. Unless, I mean, you know what it's gonna be. Like, sat here right now, they'll want to do Britt Thunder for both titles because of the history they've got.
Oh,
you
don't
know
do
it.
that. Like anyone but Britt, because Britt is just is a regression. I feel like it's panic. Like with Britt, if you're gonna put the title on Britt, at least not against Thunder. Like, do it against somebody else. Britt versus Thunder Rosa, we've been there, done that. Move on. For me, I'm happy that Shida's in the mix, even though booking wise, it kind of doesn't make sense because she's been absent from
kinda.
Doesn't make sense. But I'm just like, I'm happy she's in the mix because it'll make the match better, but it makes no sense. Like, why is she there, not someone like Jamie Hayter? I'm not Jamie Hayter, Anna Jay. Obviously, I don't want to see Anna Jay in the mix, but you know, rankings wise, and it makes more sense. And the thing is, they have an excuse because I don't watch Dark. I'm seeing clips. She does a champion in another promotion. I don't know what promotion that is, but she's wearing another promotion championship. But you know, if you'd actually put on TV and highlight the championship, you know, you could have done something with that. But whatever. Women's division.
I think well, just on Shida, as you mentioned her, she is probably the most undervalued person in AEW. Just the way they've like, she's been booked well to win, but even in between her title matches, she was never really booked well. I think at this point, at least on how she's performed, from like evidence of how she's performed in AEW and not anywhere else in the world, Shida is probably the best women's probably the best women's champion they've had. And just generally, like, maybe top 1 or 2. I mean, arguably Serena Deeb is obviously always there, but the top 1 or 2 performers in that women's division, full stop. Yeah. But yeah, that's Shida. I'm going to come back to her later. For this, yeah, like I said to you lot in the group, and I've pieced it together, this is all fake. Thunder Rosa, I don't know what she's doing. I don't think she's injured at all. And this is going back to, I think, a couple of weeks ago when they were trying to, I think they said Statlander was the number 1 contender, and Statlander then got injured. And then it's like, oh, it has to be Toni Storm. And from then, Thunder Rosa kind of like said, oh, okay, sort of thing. And I remember, I think there was one week, I think it might have been that same week, because I think last week she was just watching a Toni Storm match on the TV backstage, if I'm correct. She also said, like, oh, like, I'll have to fight Toni Storm. Yeah, we'll see. And what do you mean by we'll see when the general manager or whomsoever has told you this is the number 1 contender? She said, oh, okay, yeah, we'll wait and see. She said something along those lines. I can't remember the exact verbiage. But it's like, that's not the answer you give, one, if you're a fighting champion, a babyface fighting champion. Yeah, it's your friend, someone that you're breaking bread with now, but it seemed all a bit like I don't really want to face Toni Storm. And then all of a sudden she comes out this week I thought like you've interpreted it as like real distress, Gigi, as to how she was crying. I interpret it as someone that's overacting to look like they're upset. Like, so that's what I thought it was. Another thing that I've been paying attention to, I don't watch Dark, but I do look at the results and just see who's winning and stuff, because I'm always trying to make sense of these rankings. And I've seen the Renegade Twins, who they are always very loud that Thunder Rosa trained. They have been getting a lot of wins recently on Dark. They get brought up to Rampage every now and again, but they've had a lot of wins on Dark recently. And I'm just thinking, are they gonna like pair these guys together as like some faction or something like that? Part of like a Thunder Rosa heel turn, maybe. Yeah, I just don't believe this is genuine. Again, I'm not really sure I care, because the women's division in general hasn't been booked completely, great. Leads us to the pay-per-view and what we have in the pay-per-view. Who to win? I guess all roads kind of point to Tony Storm at this point.
Yeah.
The rabbit in the hat really is Jamie Hayter. I would love for them to just spin the whole coup and Jamie Hayter wins it, and then that really plunges us straight into Jamie Hayter versus Britt Baker. And yeah, be some good promos there. Then pray to God, maybe Jamie Hayter joins BCC or something like that. That could be fun. But yeah, I think all roads lead to Tony Storm right now. I don't think anyone else is there for anything else.
The thing with Britt Baker, I think we all need to just like realize that not unfortunately, but she is the most proficient all-rounder in that division. Maybe not necessarily because she's had the opportunity to be spotlighted, and they've put a lot of spotlight on her, so maybe it has stopped others from getting that opportunity to showcase their talents. But she is the best promo in that division. She is a very sufficient worker. So unfortunately, that's what we get left with, and that's the best case. That's one of the best case scenarios. Unfortunately,
NK
because we've seen so much of her.
NK is obviously vocal. He don't want Britt Baker as champion. I will cheer if Britt Baker wins. I will cheer. I'll happily take Britt Baker as champion, but obviously it's not promising. It's not promising because obviously we saw what one of her title reigns looked like before, innit? Like it was all brilliant until she won the title, and then much to do about nothing once she had the title. But
Britt versus Thunder Rosa 4.
Like I said, in the moment, I will cheer a Britt Baker win. I will take it. But
I'd rather that than Tony Storm. Honestly, I think I would.
Me too. To be honest, I'll probably cheer anyone winning but Tony Storm, if I'm completely honest. Yeah. Wow. I don't see Tony Storm's a good performer, man. But like beyond that character, I've watched her now in Stardom. I've watched her in NXT UK. I've watched her in NXT. As outside of being able to wrestle, she's never given me anything else.
In NXT, I thought she had something, but then in AEW, she's been like. But I don't know if it's like lack of, because I don't know if it's lack of opportunity in terms of like they don't give her enough time to cut. Because I don't think I've heard her cut a promo.
She's Tony not. Storm. I don't think she's a good. The thing with her. She's a good worker. She's got a very cool look. Like her image is very cool. But past that, I don't. Unless your promos are going to have any meat and bones to it, I don't know what she can offer in that field either. I've not heard anything stand out from her mic-wise.
I hear it. I would rather...
Anafi says, I wouldn't mind seeing Britt as champ. You know what the problem is? In this division, we're eating scraps. Yeah, it's like someone just dangles a piece of chicken over a lion's cage and we're all just clawing at whatever we can get.
I beg, make
so we've gone to the fridge and we're having what we had last week, which is Britt Baker. Like, I'll have this again, innit? I'll just have this again. Grab some noodles out the cupboard.
Yeah, like it's we shouldn't be speaking about the women's division like this. Like they're not doing anything like this in the men's division. But imagine they had a 4-way in the men's division with the equivalent top 4 guys. Like, we would be
screaming.
salivating and thinking, like, yeah, like, let's have it. Like,
So what? Omega, Punk, Danielson, and Moxley.
Kai, look at the names you're reading off, bro. You see what I mean? But in the women's division, it's just like, it's whatever. We're picking people, and it's the same. If we pick Shida to win, they're not going to give Shida like loads of promo time. So, well, again, it's just good matches. Tony and Britt Baker is all character, maybe not so much on the worker side of things. Tony is probably more worker, no character. Jamie Hayter is probably the best blend of everything. Yeah. But is it Hayter's time? Ideally so, but you never know. So
even like all they have to do is she just has to get a not even a sneak win, but there's ways to book it where it's not, you know, I know what you're saying, she's not ready, but you don't have the way she wins doesn't have to necessarily be that as if she's top dog. It could be Britt beats someone and she just sees her opportunity and makes the pin rather than Britt. But can I request next week, that we just start with the women's division, please, because it always gets so depressing. We need to start here next week.
I will say this though, in terms of as a match, I think this would be quite a good match, like as a match on the pay-per-view. Because I remember the tag match it was I know it was Thunderstorm against Britt and Hayter.
Yeah.
But now you add Shida in there, and I really think like the match will be good. Like nothing like blow away or like, oh my god. But I thought the match will be like very good work.
Not to do her a disservice, but Shida's better than Thunder Rosa as a performer.
Oh, 100%. So and I'm cheering for Hayter. Jamie, man, do the job, because I really like Jamie Hayter. Like, she's really good. She's really good. So
and there'll be so much like content for her promos going in as well. So it's not like, she has to deliver the promos, but there's content there that she can use straight away. It's not like she's got to just find something to talk about. There's going to be content there straight away. So I think it's the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Unless you just, like we said, put it on Britt, but via screwing Jamie in that match. Those are the only outcomes that need to happen.
Yeah. The women's division continues to be a talking point, man, and not a positive one. We got one more thing that we learned from this week. This is mine, cynical as ever, but here we go. The AEW rankings are not being followed. At this point, I'm not really sure how much they mean. We saw got the Acclaimed in the image. They were saved by Swerve in Your Glory. Swerve in Your Glory were backstage with the Acclaimed with Tony Schiavone saying how much they love the Acclaimed. Of course, everyone loves the Acclaimed. And then the Acclaimed just weren't really buying into it all. And then we just said, we're the uncrowned tag team champions and we want a title match. Or Keith Lee, I think, said, well, because you're a ranked team, we'll challenge you at the pay-per-view. So we've got the Acclaimed versus Swerve in Our Glory just slapped together. Now, yes, they are ranked, but this has become something that has become, I guess, less important in AEW. AEW 2019, early 2020, you ain't sniffing the title unless you're number one contender and you've worked your way up, and they've told the story of how you've worked your way up, and they were very vocal about people working their way up, or they're number 2, they're number 3, blah blah blah. Showed us the rankings in the programming a lot. Now you just have to be ranked, and to be honest, in some cases you don't even need to be ranked. Just to take it kind of back as well, I've got this picture of, this is the most latest rankings they put out, right? So we can see the Acclaimed here is a number 4 team. However, obviously, these guys faced Private Party on the weekend, Swerve in Our Glory, on Rampage. No, they're not ranked at all.
Yeah.
We got the women's champions over here, Thunder Rosa at the top there. And as we mentioned, Shida, nowhere to be seen on the rankings. Jamie Hayter, nowhere to be seen on the rankings. Anna Jay that you mentioned, NK, is here. Nyla Rose even. But yeah, these aren't the people that have made this title match. Like I said, like this, to be honest, they done a fantastic job to attempt to bring this into wrestling, this level of realism and the sports element and stuff like that. They're moving away from it now. It's maybe holding back some stories they want to tell. Maybe they don't want to tell stories determined by these rankings anymore. Why don't we just scrap it? Because you're still making this rankings. You're still telling us about it. Is it better for them to just now come off the leashes of this rankings and just scrap it?
I don't know. You know, I don't know if you scrap. I don't know if you scrap. Here's the thing about rankings. I like the fact that I can, for example, with certain people like the Acclaimed, I've liked just seeing them on the rankings. Like, I was like, okay, that's nice. And things, we can see the Acclaimed have been doing a lot more this year as they've been doing previously.
100.
My main thing is with the tag team one. The reason why the tag team rankings I have an issue with, because FTR are the best tag team, but it's like you haven't even addressed in kayfabe why they're not challenging for the titles. Like, if it's a thing where it's like I don't know what excuse you can come up with, but like we want to face the best, and we think Young Bucks are the best.
If they were a heel team, like this device would work. Do you know what I mean? And especially the whole swerving up, like the top ranked team or FTR, and they for whatever reason just didn't want to go against Swerve and Our Glory, even though they're the champs. Like maybe they're running scared. Then it works as a plot device. Do you know what I mean? But exactly what you're saying, NK. There's no explanation for them not wanting to challenge for the belts.
Yeah. And then I'm seeing like 10 and Evil Uno as another team. Like, what matches have they?
I know it's second, or is it third?
Dark.
Third.
I know they've been a lot. I know they've been on Dark, but it's like the Acclaimed outside of FTR and the Bucks. The Acclaimed are probably the team we've seen on television the most. So it's like them going for the title makes sense. In terms of, okay, cool, what we've seen on television, it's justifiable. But in regards to the rankings, I don't know. But then, am I in favor of completely scrapping the rankings? Because I feel like sometimes rankings can be useful. But at this point, it's just a pick and choose thing. It's like, we're going to pick and choose when we use them. I don't mind the whole thing of like fighting anybody who's ranked, because I've seen before, like, let's say if you've beaten number 1 and number 2, you fight number 3. That makes sense. That makes sense. But then with the women, it's like, like, But with the women, yeah, the rankings have always been bad because they only get one match a show. So it's like, how can there be a ranking but you only get one match a show? So yeah, it's weird. I'm not adamant about scrapping it, but I understand people's frustrations. I just don't know what to do with it.
I think with like I said before, it was very much number 1 contender, you get your chance, and that's how it should be. Now they've come to this ranked thing. Like, it's not ideal, but I understand you don't want to be confined to just the number 1 contender sometimes. So I don't mind if these are the top 5 ranked, and we can pick and do stories or whatever from these top 5. Yeah. Again, that's consistent, and that broadens your horizon. But when I see these man having a match against Private Party, that where the hell have Private Party been? You see what I mean? Like, and then for the women's side, like we just said, like, God bless Shida, she is very good, but you've pulled her out of nowhere. You've literally pulled her out of nowhere. Even Hater, that you would even think, how come Hater isn't on here? Like, she's been having matches. Like, Hater's not there, but you've pulled Hater to come and have a match here. Like, make it ranked. Like, if you just have to be ranked, then fine. Make it number 1 contenders. If that's the rule, then fine. But it's like very much picking and choosing to just tell the story how you want. Like, you might as well, in that case, just remove it and then just go on, just, as they were saying at the beginning, wins and losses. Then they don't have to count any numbers. They don't have to justify anything. You can just be like, oh, Jamie Hayter's won a lot recently. Let's give her a title shot. You see what I mean? Like, they just, I don't know. All this numerical stuff is confined in them and just not adding up at this point.
I think it's a good device to lean on if done properly. I think there just needs to be more care. Like I am all for it being in wrestling. Like I think it's a great device to
Likewise.
use.
Likewise.
People have a reason, right? To fight against people that are ranked as well. Like the top three have a fight or whatever it is. You're above me in the rankings. There's a motivation for feuds to happen if used correctly. It's just if you're not addressing it. Like all they have to do is have FTR and Swerve and Our Glory like bump into each other backstage and go, "Oh, what? You're number one ranked. You're not coming. Yeah, once we sort this out, we're coming for you." Do you know what I mean? If you just address it and just there's ways to do it, but just is it the case we've given FTR too many wins? What have we done? Like, is that what they've done? Just got carried away and let FTR have too many wins? Like Young Bucks, they're in the trios tournament. That's all right. We can work with that. But FTR have been, and they've even commented on it on Twitter. So at least just address it somehow, and then we can at least look past it. But the fact that it's just being left unspoken about, and they're having to now look down the rankings for another team, which I didn't mind Swerving Our Glory going, we've got to find a ranked team. We have to go out of our way to get like challengers. And I kind of don't mind that as a motivation for this match to happen. But like you're saying, when there's teams ranked above them, and even Uno and 10, they're in the trios somewhat, but yeah, I wouldn't scrap it completely. I think it's a good device, and I even kind of put these rose-tinted glasses back on when I think about them just kind of being able to just lean on it if and when they want to. But yeah, it just needs a bit more care and a bit more addressing when
also why aren't FTR separately ranked? Because I know obviously they do, like, for example, TBS women's world heavyweight. They'll rank the champions differently. Oh, you own ROH TK. You own ROH. You can easily just make ROH title its own like separate picture next to the AEW one, and then it eliminates FTR from the rankings. And then now you just
you're
have
smart. That solves it all.
It's like Gigi just said. It's care. It's like they've started something, started off very well. They were abiding by it, and now they've forgotten about it, and it's spiraling out of control. And we're here asking questions. Like even the
it's like there's someone in the back it's like there's someone in the back that was in charge of these rankings. He's gone on holiday, and it's like, oh, has anyone been checking the rankings recently? No, Tim's on holiday.
The only person that knows about the ranking is the Twitter intern. That's the only time I hit rankings on Twitter. Like, they don't even address it in the product, because in the product, it used to be like, oh, this person's this ranked. I haven't heard Excalibur say this person's this ranked.
They just say ranked now. This person's ranked. They don't know the position or anything like that. And like, even when we were cussing before, saying, how can man win on dark and get bare wins on dark and then become a number one contender? Like, even for what the likes of Private Party, for them to have a match with the champions, especially because they haven't even been on TV anywhere near it, just send them to dark and have some fugazi matches or dark elevation, and then it could have been on the rankings. We wouldn't be questioning
and been above FTR if needs be, just because FTR haven't had a match for a few weeks.
Bro, it's like you said, the care just on this side of things is lost. And ideally, I want it back, because this is something that I don't want it to go. I know I said, like, should they get rid of it? I don't want it to go, because I thought it was determining things really well, and it's very clear and obvious. It's what's the word? Transparent with the audience. They know who's coming up next. They know who's in good form. They know who they're pushing ultimately, but they've left it to one side, and it's being literally just used to slap together things and still not adding up right now. So yeah, they probably need to do a bit better in that respect. But yeah, like I say, it's something to work towards. But in general, this was a really good show, a lot of good news. All Out is looking very interesting on September 4th. We got one more week of TV. I mean, we got Rampages as well in between, but we got one more week of Dynamite before we get there. Anything that wasn't announced on this show that you think is going to be on the pay-per-view, guys?
Athena versus Jade.
Yeah, that's probably what she's got her announcement about Rampage, isn't it?
Yeah,
they announced Hobbs and Starks, haven't they? Or
yeah,
not?
They
have,
announced it.
Announced it.
What a promo from Starks, by the way.
Yeah, Starks is very good, man.
What a
Starks is
promo.
very good.
Probably
Again,
came at the wrong time, man.
Hobbs is ranked second, by the way. Did you guys know that? In these rankings, he's second.
Who's first?
Hangman.
Hangman's first, yeah. But Hobbs is second.
Let's go, Hobbs.
Yeah. Interesting stuff, innit?
What you're deep thought about something? What?
No, I just that Hobbs is set like
He's had 2 matches since he's broken up with Ricky Starks, and I can't think about anything else that he done as a singles wrestler before then. He obviously tag team stuff with Ricky Starks, but I can't think of anything as a singles guy he's done before then. But maybe 2 wins is enough. I don't know.
maybe he's Dark, man. I don't know. I know he's been on Dark a lot recently, but
okay, yeah, maybe it's Dark then. Maybe it's Dark. Cool. All right then. That's this week's show. 5 things that we learned from AEW Dynamite. Big up NK, big up GG. Thanks for you guys coming through. Again, GG's channel, NK, Rest Things, all the information is down in the description. So if you're not following, please make sure you subscribe, follow along. If you haven't, subscribe to this channel. Like the video as well, please. It will do a lot for the channel. And we shall see you same time next week. Go home show for AEW All Out. See you guys later.